One of them signed a paper saying that he would value Mao Zedong's value system. So there was that. And then they hack into our telecom system. They've been stealing intellectual property. Fentanyl, COVID. I mean, all of this stuff. So how do you negotiate with obviously a bad actor and trust them on economics?
You don't think we do that to them? We do.
So
we do a lot of things.
That's the way the world works?
That's the way the world works. It's a nasty world.
And then you just do a trade deal?
We do. Well, we made a lot of money with this trade deal. I do a trade deal if it works. We made a lot of money with the trade deal.
We have been talking a lot about Donald Trump's pudding brain lately, but today in an interview with Maria Bartiromo, it was on full display, especially when Donald Trump was asked about some breaking news around a hack of our telecom systems on Trump's very telecom systems, and his response, a complete implosion, will stun you. We are going to get into it all, and how Trump has just essentially given up. But first, we have to start with his original question, being asked about the China deal that just isn't coming.
This coming up. What are you going to do about the end of the pause in the tariffs?
It's so simple. We're sending letters out. I'd rather do it now. My guys, hey, I have great guys, Scott, Howard, other people, Jameson. They're talking to all these countries. We made a deal pretty much with India. We made a deal with China. We made a deal with UK, great people. We made deals. But I'd rather just send them a letter, a very fair letter, saying, congratulations, we're going to allow you to trade in the United States of America. You're going to pay a 25% tariff or 20% or 40 or 50%. I would rather do that. So when I get...
We're not trying to extend the pause?
I don't think I'll need to, because I could. They're no big deal.
So it is no surprise that when pressed on a tariff deadline, Donald Trump is just going to implode. He's going to lie. He's going to make up dates and deals that don't exist. Because of course he will. This is all we do at this point. But it kind of set the tone for the rest of the interview. Donald Trump didn't sound tired as much as he continued to act tired and just kind of unaware throughout the interview. This is what we've seen from him. The only moment he really kind of got excited is when he admitted that Fox was his propaganda outlet. Just take a look.
We have auto companies building plants where they wouldn't have built here in 100 years. We have more investment in the United States right now than we've ever had before. Think of it. Yeah, we're up to almost $15 trillion. Look at this guy from last year. What kind of numbers they were to people leaving. They weren't coming in. Now they're coming in.
Like you've said, you brought wealth back to America.
Wealth and spirit back. We have spirit. People respect our country again. It's very important. I'm a cheerleader also for the country, aside from everything else, like you are. We brought spirit back. We brought respect and dignity back. When I went to the European, I was in that beautiful place with the king and the queen, and it was like beautiful. Everything's so nice. But when I went to the Netherlands and I looked, everybody was coming up, Mr. President, Mr. President. They didn't do that a year ago or 2 years ago or 3 years ago. These are the big countries. This is Germany and France and all of them. I mean, a big group of countries. They respect America again. They laughed at us. They thought we were a joke. You had a president that kept falling downstairs and falling on stages and couldn't find an entrance he makes a little speech that lasted for about a half a minute, and he looks around, he's looking for stairs. There's like 6 different stairs, and he can't figure out which stair.
Donald, your job is not to be a cheerleader, which I don't want to think about you with the pom-poms in the outfit on, but Fox's job isn't that either. But he clearly is just like, well, you guys do propaganda for us, you know that you have to do the spin. It's idiotic. But again, unsurprising. This is what we expect from Trump, even though it's not his public projection. What he pretends to project is that he's the big, strong, tough guy getting it done. Not the little light girl with the pom-poms, and he made that very clear when Maria Bartiromo asked about China hacking us, and just take a look at his response.
A very good thing. But they are paying substantial tariffs.
Well, I noticed that, because it seems like you go so far with China, but you don't sort of use the leverage that you can use. I mean, look.
If I ever had to use it, I'd use it. But When there's no reason to use it, that's good too.
Well, we did just arrest 3 or 4 Chinese nationals who tried to bring a pathogen into the country that gets people sick and destroys food supply. We've got hacking.
You don't know where that came from, though. I mean, did that come from the country, or is that 3 wackos that happened to carry something? You know, you just don't.
Well, there was one that he signed that he would be, one of them signed a paper saying that he would value Mao Zedong's value system. So there was that. And then they hack into our telecom system. They've been stealing intellectual property. Fentanyl, COVID. I mean, you know, all of this stuff. So how do you negotiate with obviously a bad actor and trust them on economics?
You don't think we do that to them? We do.
So
We do a lot of things.
that's the way the world works.
That's the way the world works. It's a nasty world.
And then you just do a trade deal?
We do. Well, we made a lot of money with this trade deal. You know, I do a trade deal if it works. We made a lot of money with the trade deal.
So Donald Trump, who has throughout his entire political career talked about how tough on China he was going to be, is now saying that's the way it is. What? So they're hacking us, and that's the way. That's the way it is. We're fine with that. What can I get? An explanation from anyone. But this is what we have come to know, at least throughout this trade war, this idiotic trade war that Trump is always going to cave, that he is always going to chicken out, that he just doesn't really care. It seems like his only focus is on bleeding into the wee hours of the night and making as much money for himself as possible. He has no real idea of what's going on in his own administration, as he's taken advantage of by the worst people surrounding him. Again, another clear example of him not knowing we can see right here.
No big deal. It's like TikTok. I'm extending that, you know, but no big deal. We have a buyer for TikTok, by the way. I think I'll need probably China approval. I think President Xi will probably do it.
Who's the buyer?
I'll tell you in about 2 weeks.
A big technology company there.
Very, very wealthy people. It's a group of very wealthy people.
2 weeks away. You know what that means? Everyone take a drink. We're 2 weeks away. Once again, he has no concept of what is happening. And this is played out throughout many different examples in Donald Trump's administration. Of course, the latest example of this is when Donald Trump flip-flopped on his entire immigration agenda, saying that, no, we're not going to do our ICE raids on farms or in hotels. Of course, because his billionaire buddies called him up, and he tried to give an explanation for that. Here just didn't really work.
Because recently you said, let's ease up on, you know, taking in people who are working, hard working, like in farms and hotels.
I don't back away. What I do have, I cherish our farmers. And when we go into a farm and we take away people that have been working there for 15 and 20 years who are good, who possibly came in incorrectly. And what we're going to do is we're going to do something for farmers where we can let the farmer sort of be in charge. The farmer knows he's not going to hire a murderer. But, you know, when you go into a farm and he's had somebody working with him for 9 years doing this kind of work, which is hard work to do, and a lot of people aren't going to do it, and you end up destroying a farmer because you took all the people away, it's a problem. You know, I'm on both sides of the thing. I'm the strongest immigration guy that there's ever been, but I'm also the strongest farmer guy that there's ever been. And that includes also hotels and, you know, places where people work, a certain group of people work. So we're working on it right now. We're going to work it so that some kind of a temporary pass where people pay taxes, where the farmer can have a little control as opposed to you walk in and take everybody away. But no, the criminals are going out of this country.
Right. You said it from the beginning. You wanted to first focus on the criminals. But I'm wondering if this change in giving people a pass is a response to the critics who said the execution was a little clumsy. People were afraid to go to work. They were afraid to run into ICE. They said, you know, look, if you give a quota to somebody and say, go get me 600 people who are here in the country illegally, they'll come back with 600 people, even if it's not the right 600.
So the execution was unbelievable because you have no people coming through our border anymore. Right. That's part of the execution. So it wasn't clumsy. What was clumsy is the fact that they allowed millions and millions of people to pour into our country.
We know the reason Donald Trump flip-flopped because some rich guy called him up and said, Donald, We can't do this anymore. It's hurting our business, and that's all that really matters. But it's funny to think about, because if it's hurting that business, might you try to extrapolate that out to other businesses, thinking that your horrible plans have an impact on them as well? No, you're not. Oh, okay, that's good. Okay, you're just not. Oh, that's good to know. It's just idiotic. It is a disaster. At least Stephen Miller is getting humiliated, but he has outsourced everything in the government while still trying to hold complete power. He's the last person to make the decision, of course, but the decision is based on the last person who talked to him and whispered into his pudding brain, which was on full display when he was asked about AI.
And we've done it. And we're getting all the criminals out.
Mr. President, I just want to ask you about the job cuts from these companies. Some of them are blaming AI. And one CEO told me that AI, artificial intelligence, allows engineers to be at least 25% more productive. It's helpful in contract management. It's helpful in repetitive jobs. It's helpful in data. What can you do to offset the job cuts that will no doubt come as a result of AI efficiency?
One thing, very simple, bring more companies and more jobs. You know, the truth is we don't have enough people to take care of these jobs. So it's like perfect timing. We don't have enough people. You know, my biggest problem is they're coming in and they have to hire thousands and thousands of workers. This is perfect timing. We don't have enough people. If AI is so good, which I hear it is, and there's a lot of money being bet by very smart people, I'll tell you, we are dominating AI. That's the other thing. And they all said, well, we'd have a problem because of electricity. We don't make enough electricity. We would have to double our electric power. Can you believe that? And you know what I did? I had an idea. I said, when you build your plant, you're spending billions. You're going to become a utility, an electric utility. You're going to also build a utility. You're not going to take it from an old grid that's been here for 100 years. You're going to take it right from a new facility. And they said, they actually looked at me, they said, you'd do that? Of course I would. It's a national emergency. I'm going to approve everything, and you'll have your approval in 2 weeks. And Lee Zeldin is doing an amazing job, the environmental commissioner. I said, Lee, you're going to approve this stuff fast. Make sure it's safe, make sure it's good, but you have to get it done fast. Because in China, you know how long it takes? One day. It's called President Xi. Boom, it's okay. Over here, we're going to have almost the same thing. We're getting fast approvals. And you can do nuclear, because nuclear now is safe and good and inexpensive. But you can do oil and gas, you can do coal. And the reason we do coal is because, and I call it clean, beautiful coal. You can really do things with coal today that you couldn't have done. But the beautiful thing about the coal and the thing that I look at, you know who uses coal? China. 59 plants they're opening this year. Right. Coal. You know why? It's very powerful. It's very powerful. So we opened up coal. We were closing all our coal mines all over the country, and yet we still have a lot of coal. We use the generating plants of coal because it's the strongest. And we're doing coal. So we have everything, every form. I don't want windmills destroying our place. I don't want, you know, these solar things where they go for miles and they cover up a half a mountain that are ugly as hell. And by the way, the panels are all made, and the windmills, they're all made in China.
This is clearly an unwell person. He does not know what he's talking about. He does not know what he's saying. He is a complete mess. He continues to melt down before our eyes, and we should all be incredibly scared. I cannot believe the mainstream media refuses to give this any little bit of coverage at all, that Donald Trump can just fully melt down before our eyes, and they're happy to go along business as usual. I'm sure it'll be like Trump spars with Barty Romo in this interview. After asked about AI Trump presents alternative vision, you need to start terming this what it is: decline. I've seen the Daily Beast and talked about it many times, starting to insert Donald Trump's age, the oldest president we've ever had, by the way, into their headlines when Trump melts down. Which is every time he speaks, this needs to be the conversation. This is someone taking more power than we've ever seen, with less up here than we've ever seen. It needs to be covered because incompetence is the theme of this administration. They don't know what they're doing. And it is an imposition on your life and your freedom and your pocketbook. So let's start setting the tone like that. We're certainly going to be on this show. Thanks for watching this video, and if you stuck around to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments, and until next time, I'll see you soon.